with their sports. Academically, they send out a lot of people, but they don't get the recognition that the sports people do. We got a great football team. We've already seen what Coach Tony did for that. And Andy's on a run again, and so is Coach Kurt. Welcome, morning, boys. Boys, I should say,
Gentlemen.
Gentlemen, young men, or whatever. But, Andy, we'll start with you this morning. Good morning. You're on a great run this year again. I don't know how you do it year in and year out without just getting a little bit lax and saying, is this fun anymore, winning all the time? I don't know how. I mean, sometimes you got to lose to appreciate the wins, but I think you don't like to lose, so you're always on the winning side.
Yeah, well, it seems that way, but, that's not really what we focus on. We just focus on trying to do the right things, the things we believe in, and investing in young men, and the wins come along with it, and they have. And if they don't, we're going to be satisfied with, the process. When you talk as coaches, you just talk about the process and what it takes for a chance to win. And that's where the enjoyment comes, because you're hanging out with good people and you're investing in them and you're building relationships, and that's why it's fun.
Year in and year out, kids that come up here, you're freshmen, they have to sit that bench. We'll talk about that today too, but you have a starting five right now that's as good as anybody playing Division II ball right now, right?
Yeah, I like our starting five for sure, but the key for us this year and in some years past is just our depth. So it's not necessarily one player or the starting five. It's kind of the collective of the group. This year's 10-man rotation, but we've had a couple injuries here and there, and we insert the next guy, so guys are ready to step up. But it's definitely the whole group and the strength of the whole group. So there's not a lot of drop off when we go to the bench or we go to different lineups, and that's kind of what wears on teams. If you're neutral, which obviously I'm not, so I think we got the greatest players ever.
Right.
But if you're a neutral party, you're just a basketball mind, and you look at the teams, you might say that the other teams have the best player or the best one or two players. But when you're talking about depth, you'd have to argue for Ferris State and the strength of the 10.
Like if you're on a school board and you're looking for a superintendent, you go and you hire a person to go investigate these people that you're going to hire. But more importantly is doing it yourself, going to that town. And I always felt that you go to talk to the town will tell you what kind of person this guy is, what kind of leader he really is. Because a lot of times people will lie to you and say how great he is. But if you talk to the whole town, you'll get the gist of things. When you go look for a basketball player, the mystery in you, as far as I'm concerned, is because you have, how many teams are in the GLIAC?
11 teams.
11 teams, but you only have one winner. So what does that one guy do that the other ones don't do? What do you look for in a player? Because obviously you are a heck of a good recruiter, or somebody behind you recruiting for you is getting this person that comes in and plays as a team. To me, that's a winner in itself. I mean, you do this year in and year out. If you're not in first place, you're second. If you're not in second, you're in first. You're just always at the top of the league. And now, that being said, if you look at a community like Saginaw Valley, you have Midland over there, which is a great city, has a lot of things. They got a big baseball team over there. They got a lot of avenues that you can go down and say, hey, this is great entertainment. Big Rapids is a nice town. We're a lovable town. We're good people, but we don't have that glamour to entice a person to come to Big Rapids. Ferris State is a beautiful campus, but kids, let's face it, kids are looking for entertainment also besides what they're doing. So for you to recruit like you do, what? Don't tell me the secret, because I don't want all these other coaches listening. But what do you look at when you look for a kid to play ball on your team?
Yeah, well, honestly, our secrets don't matter because it's Ferris State, and there's no other Ferris State. So the secret is recruiting to your school and to your town. The people that will fit. And if we do one thing, maybe a little bit different, or I don't even want to say better, because you have to recruit to your school. And been here a long time now, 18 years, 12 as the head coach, and you kind of figure out what works here and the people that are going to love it here. So you recruit those kids, and in the recruiting process, we're just very honest, and under promise, over deliver is something that we always say. We're just going to be very honest up front. That way, when they're coming in, they know exactly what it is, and you can whisper sweet nothings, or you can make some higher end predictions to them, and then they get here and they're upset. So we underpromise them. We tell them exactly who we are, who we aren't, and a lot of guys say no to that. I mean, we recruit a lot of talented players that go other places because it's a better fit for them. So we're just trying to find guys that understand what we're trying to do here, and they believe in it, and they come here, and there's no questions about how they're going to develop and why and how we do things, and that's given us a good chance at things. But that's pretty much the recruiting philosophy, and you talked about, that's the longest question ever, by the way, but I think I got the bullet point.
Well, pretty good.
I got the bullet points here, and you do investigate and you talk to the people that are around them, the coaches, their teachers, their families, the people that know them, and you take their 2 cents. But at the end of the day, I don't want to say you ignore it. You go with your gut, and you really build the relationship with the kid, you and your coaching staff, and you take all that information, you decipher it, and say, hey, is this guy a good fit for Fair State?
Have you ever had a kid come to you without recruiting and say, hey, I want to play on this winning team? Because obviously everybody wants to win on a winning team. We're going to talk to Kurt a little bit about the girls here, but it sure is easier to talk to them when you're 19-1 instead of 1-19, right?
Sure it is. But winning is not as high on the priority list as you think it is. Kids want to play. Kids want to shoot the ball. Kids want to go where they're promised things, go where the money's at. So it's not as high. So we try to recruit kids where it's a little higher on their top 5, but recruiting, the best way I could say is it's an inexact science. So kids will come up to us like you asked and say, I want to play for you. But at the end of the day, there is a talent requirement. So, I mean, that's flattering, but we have to have very talented young men to be able to even compete in our league and then in the nation. So there's a baseline of required talent. And if you don't hit those measurables or baseline, you could be the greatest guy in the world, and you'll be successful in life. You just won't be a Fair State men's basketball player.
Right, yeah. I do respect your honesty. That's for sure. I've heard that from a lot of student athletes. They'll tell you that I thought I was a good ball player, but I got up there and found out that the coach was real honest with me and said, you're not in the top 5, you're not in the top 10, but if you want to come along, be that bench guy, that's fine, but I got to be honest. And the kid told me, so I thought I was pretty good. In high school, I was really good. But you get up here to Fair State, and he goes, these are the best of the high school students around this area, that's for sure. But anyway, skipping over to Kurt for a little bit, good morning.
Good morning.
And I was talking to you earlier, how many years, you started here at the same time Andy?
So same time as Andy as an assistant coach. 2010-11 was our first year here together, and then I went on to Valparaiso with Tracy Doro when she left here and went down there, and had an opportunity to coach a couple places, and had one during right before COVID, went out and got my first head coaching job in California. Not a California kid at all, but it was a nice 4 years of good weather up there in Northern California. And when the opportunity came to come back here during COVID, it was summer of 2020, got the opportunity and pounced on it. So this is now year 5 at the helm here.
Wow, Perk was the AD then?
Correct.
So how did he find you, or did you find him? I guess mass media, you can find out who's looking for who, but...
it was really, it's serendipitous that Perk's first year as the AD was my last year here as an assistant coach. So I knew Perk. He was at least familiar with me, and our program was in a really strong spot in 2011-12. We were an NCAA tournament team, top 25 team. So when the opportunity was open, I think I was hopefully near the top of the list, and then definitely at the top when it ended. And hopefully I did fairly well out in California, a little NAI school very similar to the statue, like a Cornerstone, where Andy played. My school is a small Christian university, and we got that thing going and made the national tournament, set a whole bunch of records out there. So kind of proved, able to win, and getting back home to a place that, I fell in love with the 2 years that I was here, having a chance to come back, me and my wife, I was like, well, we don't really even need to take the official visit, if you will, on the hiring process. I knew the town already. I knew it was a spot that I wanted to. So really blessed to be back here.
What do you like about Big Rapids? What's our number one?
Just the sense of the community. I love that, Tony talked about it a little bit, Tony Anise talked about, like at our staff retreat, like it's great for bringing the football guys in because it's like it's basketball for him, it's football, it's school, and it's the community that you're in. I think you can get lost a lot of times, like Andy was talking about, like if you're going to a bigger city, you're just people might not even know there's a game in town. In Big Rapids, everyone knows the game's in town. We're sitting here with you today talking about our teams. I feel like our players really feel that support, every Thursday and Saturday when we get to go in the gym, and it's like, okay, it's not just mom and dad that are showing up. There's people that don't know you from the stranger down the road, but you play for Ferris State, you're in this town, you represent us. So I really like that sense of community. My wife and I love getting involved, a little bit more involved in our church here. We got 2 young kids. My kids are a little younger than Andy's. My kids are 3 and 5, so starting off young kindergarten. So it's nice to kind of get plugged into the fabric with small town. And it's really similar to where I grew up in Southwest Michigan, a few little small towns of Southwest Michigan. It was really similar to that. So it just really feels like home.
What was your greatest asset as far as you see yourself, you look in the mirror, what set you apart from that guy that didn't get the job? What do you think it was?
You might need to call Perk to ask him that. So,
well, no, you're not bragging. I'm not trying to be.
Now, winning gets your foot in the door. Winning gets your foot in the door, but I think I do a really good job.
You did real well out in California then?
We did fairly well.
And they must have saw something in you. What did they see in him, Andy?
Turn it over.
I can brag him up. That's how it works. Other people brag you up. Absolutely.
I understand.
Well, for the staff, that was working at Ferris when Kurt was there, it was really easy to support the decision because we knew him. So it's like, hey, look, can't go wrong with this hire. And Kendra had the program in a good spot coming off the tournament and some good players in the system. So, there were some hot resumes coming in, so it was a competitive job. And, but there wasn't a lot of hemming and hawing from, the staff, the people in the department. And any good AD is going to, a lot like we talked about recruiting, it's going to talk to people and talk to people that know Kurt. So he got a, very supportive, statements from all the people that were already in-house, and we wanted them to come here. And there's a lot that goes into the hiring process, and there's things that ADs think they need and think they want. So, ultimately it's their decision. But as far as the staff went, and as far as that, probably a little bigger voice for me because we work together every day, and it's a very important relationship. And I knew we would work really well together. So, I was on his side from the beginning.
Yeah, I always tell people, one of the greatest things to being successful is relationships. Make that relationship. Don't burn that bridge. I honestly think that's what happened to you, Kurt. I think you had great relationships, and that's the number one thing. And on the other hand, you getting the job, and we won't talk about it long, you did it on Andy. You had relationships, but you weren't there before, or you were there before a little bit as a student athlete coach or whatever you want to call assistant, right? Then you went to Crossroads, and then, well, the rest is history. Now, that being the way you were brought into the system, do you ever see yourself giving a guy that doesn't have that relationship that chance? It's pretty tough to say, I know, but
yeah, it's possible. It's just, it's possible to bring an outsider in, but
it's number one's relationship.
Just a blind hire is not really popular in our business.
Right.
You have a relationship, even if you haven't worked together in the past.
Yeah.
It's usually a close friend of a friend. There's some sort of heavy tie and relationship that gets you in the door, and then you have to interview well, and you have to have, like Kurt going out to California and getting the head coaching experience, and then having success out there and seeing the trajectory of that program he had there. You think he's going to do that at Ferris, and he has. But for me, I volunteered, so I had the relationship to get that head assistant job, and then got a interview and did well in the interview for the head coaching job. And right on down the line, I was a volunteer. Jim Lake was my first assistant. He was a volunteer. Ramon was my second assistant. He was a volunteer. Josh is my current assistant, third assistant. He was a volunteer. So we're hiring from within on relationships. And I'm not saying that will always work out, but the next guy in line, whenever it is, it's going to be a relationship.
Kurt, I got Andy and Kurt from basketball, Ferris State, the Dogs up there, men and women's basketball coach this morning, along with Sheriff. I'm going to let the Sheriff talk here in a little bit, but I love to talk on the radio. I just love to hear myself and these. Kurt, you took the women's program. I mean, I love Tracy. We were very good friends. She was a very good customer. I hate to see her leave, but things happen. Mm-hmm. And that being said, now you go into you. I don't know you that well. I'd like to know more about you, and we're going to find that out today, what makes you tick, because you really actually took the women's program a step ahead of what we're used to having. I mean, you went into the Final Four last year and that last game, but I'll get to the point. I normally don't watch women's basketball, and you got me interested in it now. And you've gotten a lot of people in Big Rapids interested because obviously your crowds are bigger. You're playing exciting ball. Of course, it doesn't hurt to win. But you were on TV last year in your Final Four or Finals 8, whatever it was. They were following that. And there was a lot of people watching those games. Yeah. I was down in Florida at the time, and we had quite a group at the neighborhood there watching because of Ferris State. I was kind of recruiting these people in the neighborhood to watch it. But anyway, we were all watching it on TV, and I'm thinking, wow, this guy's really taken us to a new height in this program. And I mean, we expected out of Andy, but the girls, they were always good. But you got some stiff competition that you really beat in the GLIAC, and you dominated. And then you went on to that Final Four. That last game that you played probably wasn't the best game you played all year, but we'll talk about that if you want to talk about it. But I want to congratulate you because I don't know if everybody in this community realizes what you did for our town and our community and our Ferris State University.
Well, thank you very much. And it's definitely, you do hear from everyone, the alumni, that run. It was amazing going to the Elite Eight and, having someone kind of behind the scenes put together a little alumni video that we were able to just little 10, 15 second messages of support for the team. We were able to show that to them in the hotel before the Elite Eight game. And I think the video, I mean, it's 10, 15 seconds, each person. And I bet you the video was good 15, 20 minutes long. Someone took the time to get everyone organized and do that. And then even after the run and we're home in the spring and the summer, even in recruiting, we're talking to kids and they're like, oh yeah, I was on spring break and we were at a restaurant. You guys were up on the TV. Yeah. It's nice to see you get a game that's broadcast on national television. Right. People kind of come out of the woodwork. Oh, we were in Denver, on spring break watching you. Florida, we were watching you. Yeah. It's nice to have our games live streamed, being on Flow Sports and all that. But when you can get on, that national network, you really get that brand put out there, and I think people are starting to really recognize, the depth of the sports programs here, because it started with Tony. I guess it started with Andy getting that first one. Yeah. So I'm getting my years right, 2018 and 20. I got to get my chronology correct here. But Andy getting that first one kind of ticked off, and then with football doing what they're doing, and then I think that belief just kind of seeps into the rest of the programs. Yeah. Because we've always been solid. I don't think Ferris State's ever been not good at sports. But I think it's just kind of seeped into that culture in the building that it's hey, this is something that we're capable of. And, we had a lot of really talented players in the program. We brought in some more really talented players, and they're not just really good players, but they're really high character people. They do it the right way, and they know kind of how to overcome some of that adversity. Because I think you mentioned it, the GLIAC it's a powerhouse conference in women's basketball. The Midwest region, it's a powerhouse region. We've had national champions be coming out of our region. Last year Ashland, was number one twice, and we were able to beat them. Grand Valley was number one once, so we were able to beat them. And it's it's not like you're just trying to, sneak in the door and beat maybe the number 22 team in the country. These are the best teams out there. Yeah. So I think our kids have that belief. And it starts from, honestly being in this athletics department in the program, and it just rubs off on each other. And everyone wants to kind of do their part and do their thing. And, we talked about when I got here as a team, you always want to try to do what the program has never done before. Right. So in California, that was having a winning season. Then we did that. And then it was all right, let's win a conference tournament game. We did that. Let's make it to the national tournament. Then we did that. Coming here, we're all right, well, let's look up and down. What haven't we done? We haven't won a GLIAC outright title, and we're still searching for that. We've won division. Wow. So we won a division, my second year. Okay, we'd never won a conference tournament. So we accomplished that. We beat Grand Valley, what is that, 3 years ago now? So we got a conference tournament championship. And then the next one on the list was, okay, well, what next? What can we keep aspiring for? And I was like, well, we've made it to the Sweet 16. I think it was the team in 2006-07. That team was able to make it to the Sweet 16, and they lost in the regional final. So once we were able to accomplish that this year and make it to the regional final, it was like, okay, well, now we win this regional championship. It's the first ever, and I think it really does motivate you having that carrot out there, like, okay, I want to go accomplish these things. Yeah. And then all the while you're trying to accomplish those things, you're doing all things like Andy's talking about, like we are really developing those relationships, those character. We're learning through losing, because that was a great year last year. We still lost 6 times. Mm-hmm. It's not like we're having perfect seasons, and I think
lost
we really
6, that's not bad though.
And we really
30.
And we really learned from a lot of those opportunities, because we beat Grand Valley here in our first game against them when they were number 1, and then the game at their place they took it to us pretty good on the regular season game. So when we got a chance to play them again in the regional championship, it's like, all right, what did we learn? How did we grow from that? Right. How can we look inward and have real good honest conversations of, okay, this is what we got to do as a team to overcome the mistakes that we were making before and really to be at our best. And that's a constant, like Andy says, it's the process. So I think our process is really, really good. Plus we have high character kids and they're talented basketball players. So you have to have all those pieces together to kind of be in the spot where we're at right now. And, it's never easy because it's changing day to day, and it's going to be changing for us, throughout the rest of the season, even the next season, you're always adapting to those changes, and it's how well you can adapt.
Well, we're going to take a quick bathroom break here and thank our sponsors, and we'll be right back with Kurt and Andy, FSU Bulldog Coaches of the Year to us, here in the Studio 103.9.
Big Rapids' new B1039.
Hey, this is Andrew from Big Rapids Tire. Putting off winter, good idea for some, but in reality, pretty much impossible. And if you wait too long to get snow tires, you'll be saying,
should have done it sooner. Dang it.
Or something slightly more harsh. Last thing you want is to be slipping and sliding, or even worse, delayed, because you can't get out of your driveway. Get fresh new snow tires from Big Rapids Tire. There's no better feeling than to confidently take on the roads in the rough weather with good solid snow tires on your car. Confidence and peace of mind. Priceless. Big Rapids Tire. There for you, whatever the weather. Fast and friendly service on Northland Drive, just north of Big Rapids. Call 796-4839. That's 796-4839. Big Rapids Tire.
Come say cheers at Zott's Bar and Grill in Big Rapids. Great food, great prices, and great people, where everybody knows your name. Zott's, people's choice for best soup. You don't want to miss their award-winning burgers and chili as well. Originally opened in 1933 and serving it up ever since. Seasonal beers on tap. Located at 732 North State Street in Big Rapids. Roxanne and Doug at Zott's Bar and Grill are proud sponsors of the Signature Player of the Week for the Curries Hot Stove League every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m.
All right, welcome back to Curry's Hot Stove League. Today we have men's and women's basketball coaches from Ferris State University, Andy Bronkema and Kurt Westendorp. So, gentlemen, I was told to try to get a word in edgewise.
Yes.
There you go. All
right.
Please.
Finally, the real part of the interview.
All right.
The hard-hitting ones.
Well, mine are short. So, tell me about last week. Last week you guys kind of came back from break, I guess, and had Saginaw Valley State and Wayne State. And then this week, I think you guys have Grand Valley and Davenport. You got Grand Valley tomorrow night, correct? At home?
That's right.
All right. You guys have had pretty good crowds, actually. I mean, considering students were off on break, I think you guys have had pretty good crowds last week. I know there were, like you said, the community. The community's bought into both programs that you guys have.
It's nice having that section right behind us. We can count on that section to get full. When the students get back, they kind of tend to fill in those end zones a little bit more and across from the bench. But we can always count on that section right behind the bench is always packed.
Now, do you guys have any days coming up? I know in the past you guys have had some kind of middle of the week, middle of the school day game when students from some of the local districts will be able to come in. Do you guys have a date set up yet for that?
Yeah, we don't have that on the calendar in this year's schedule, but that's something that that we do talk about and like to do, because that's a fun game.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, and
I know the kids love it.
Yeah,
I mean, who wouldn't want to get out of school that day and then go watch some good basketball?
Yeah, there's a lot to work into that. Hopefully now with Cameron, my little one, going into like kindergarten next year, maybe I'll get a little more invested in making sure that gets on the schedule to get him out. Those games work really well in November. Early season non-conference type games, or when you see a little bit of those get on the schedule.
Okay.
And you know who really likes that is the concessions. I mean, the line is like all the way down the concourse. Just that's what they want to do. They all bring $5-10 and grab their candy. So those are fun games, Ryan.
Yeah. So coming up, Grand Valley tomorrow. I'll start with Kurt. Where's Grand Valley sit, and what are your expectations?
Well, Grand Valley is currently the number 1 team in the country.
Yep.
So they're undefeated in Division II play. They're like 14-0. They got 1 loss on the year, and that was when they played Ohio State. They only lost that one by about 20-25. So they played with the top 10 team in the country.
Yeah.
So they bring everybody back from last year's team.
They didn't lose anybody.
No, this is kind of the year. This is kind of the year they've been building towards. Mike Williams has just a great program down there. He recruits really well. They have a lot of depth. They're always one of the best defensive teams in the country. This year they're pressing a little bit more, kind of going a little bit faster tempo. Last year that regional championship game, final score was 49-46. I don't think 49 points is going to win it tomorrow night. We're playing a little bit more of a faster tempo as well. They're playing a little bit of a faster tempo, so it's going to be a big challenge for us. I don't even think they've been. I think the closest game they've had might have been last Saturday. Northern played them to a 10-point spread. So I think that's the closest game they've had all season. So, but our kids, they have that belief, they have that confidence. I think a lot of times Grand Valley goes into those games and they beat their opponent before the ball even goes up, just mentally.
Right.
So I know that our kids have that edge, have that mental sharpness to them, and they really look forward to this game all year long. Because you only have 2 opportunities that you're given to play your rival. So we really look forward to it. We build toward it. We know the game, it is 1 of 20 in the league, but for those 40 minutes, when you're in that moment, the passion really does come out. You don't really need to give a big rah-rah speech before this game. The motivation is already there because you want to beat your rival, and we have confidence that we've done it before. And it will be a big challenge for us. Definitely looking at what we lost from last year to what they didn't lose. It's okay, we're more of a new team, and they know what they are. But, our team is talking about this is, our time. This is our team. We're developing, we're growing, we're building, and as we're doing it, we're winning a lot of games as well. So I like our chances that it's going to be a very competitive game. It's going to see who wins kind of some of those broken plays, some of the unscripted plays, who wins the rebounding battle. Turnover battle. The possession battle is always huge. They usually, I think we did the stat, they get 18 more possessions a game than their opponents.
Really?
Because they out-rebound people by 10 and they turn people over 8 more times. So I'm like, well, yeah, you get 18 more possessions, and that's a good recipe for winning. But that's also one of the things that we're pretty good at. We take good care of the basketball. We're pretty hard-nosed, gritty rebounders. We might not be the biggest team, but I'll put our toughness up there with anybody. So we got to control those areas of the game, and then, we're pretty good shooters from the outside. So if that ball starts going in the basket and we get some momentum, I like our chances.
Good. Andy, Grand Valley.
The scouting report on Grand Valley. Well, you might look at their record and say, well, they're not doing as well, but you look deeper into it and you see, wow, they lost 2 games by 1 point, and then a game in overtime, and another game by 2 and 3. So that they've got, I think, 5 losses by 4 points or less.
There you go.
And they haven't been in the first game of the year. They played Walsh and really I think it was 30 plus point victory, and the rest of the games have just been really tight. And they lost a key player about 5-6 games ago, and they've really just started to adjust. And they look impressive on film. It's a type of roster that anybody would like to coach. Very talented, and they can beat anybody they play. So, I like what Kurt said. It's one game of 20, and I might be the worst rivalry coach in the nation. Because that's just not how I'm wired. I mean, every game to me is the exact same intensity, the exact same rivalry, the exact same will to win. And I think you cheapen the other games if you say we want to win this one more than the other one.
Right.
Even when you talk about Michigan, Ohio State, and the fans that we have in this state and the fans in Ohio, it's like, how can you put that on such a pedestal? I mean, the other games matter just as much. So you want that intensity all the time, and I guess that can wear people out because it's a long season to be that intense. But we want to win this game just like any other game.
So Davenport on Saturday. Where are they as a women's program? They just recently. How many years ago did they kind of 3, 4?
It's been a few years now that they've been in Division II.
They've been in Division II longer than I've been here, so it's definitely over 5 years.
Okay.
So I think they might be closer to like 6 or 7. But when you're making a transition, that is still very, very recent. So their women's program has struggled a little bit in the wins and losses.
That's what I thought.
So they've gotten off to a better start this year than they have in years past. They already have a road win at Saginaw, and winning in the GLIAC on the road is really difficult to do. They got a win against a GLVC team that was undefeated before they played them. McKendree hadn't lost, and they came into Davenport, and Davenport beat them. So they got some good wins. Their roster is pretty talented. They just haven't always been able to put it together in years past, but this is a brand new team, and honestly, I've started the scout a little bit on them. My assistant coach, Coach McCartney, has been the one that's kind of previewing them, and I'll start digging into them maybe a little bit tomorrow morning once everything is completely planned out for GV. But they're a tough opponent, and they're trying to develop that rivalry, with us, just like Grand Valley has a little bit in that West Michigan pride. Rob Bentley talks about it all the time on our little interviews and things about winning these West Michigan games. It is big because they'll have a lot of fans that'll come up, a lot of Grand Rapids area kids. We got some Grand Rapids area kids. So there's a lot of familiarity when you play them because, really anybody in the GLIAC, but especially these teams that are close proximity, these kids all know each other. So we got a lot of AAU or high school or just playing against each other for as many years as these upperclassmen do. You get to develop those. You get to develop those little competitions within the competition.
Right, and that's what's nice about the proximity of some of these schools is a lot of these kids played each other through the years, and so they're familiar with what strengths or weaknesses may be of their opponents. But there's always that competition, and I agree with Andy. I think it's important to have rivalries, but at the same time, you don't get to where you are without taking care of the other games before you take care of that rivalry game. It's great to have some bragging rights.
And that's our job as coaches and motivators, and it's like we're coaching kids that are 18 to 20, 23 maybe on our rosters. I don't know if we got any 24-year-olds on.
With that COVID year
gone now, so I think we're done with like the old guys out there. But we're dealing with 18 to 22, not just dealing with it's every day. You're trying to. You're mentoring them. You're trying to message to them to where, what's important to us as coaches is hopefully seeping through and is important to them as players. That mindset that every game is important, but we know that we have to coach them, where they're at on that day. We have to make sure that, okay, we're kind of building up every single game as we get to it. Is like, okay, not only does this what it means, now let's jump back into the process of, okay, well, if it means this much to us, every game means a lot. Winning the GLIAC means a lot. All right, well, now what does it take to get there? That was our book series our book that we read with our captains this fall. It takes what it takes. Talking about neutral thinking and making sure that's okay. Don't look at everything with rose-colored glasses, but everything also, it's not the sky is falling. Let's analyze where we're at. Let's talk about the process. What does it take to win? What are we doing when we're really good? What are we doing when we're struggling? And being honest with each other. So as coaches, we're constantly messaging that to our teams and getting ready, because that's kind of that's the real challenge of coaching over these 20 games, is making sure that when they do show up to play everybody, they do have that intensity. And sometimes they have it sometimes they'll just have it naturally. And then sometimes it's like, okay, we got to get it out of them. So that's our challenge every day.
Very similar to my job from what I found the last 4 years is, I lead our office much like a athletic program. Here's what I expect. And you expect, maybe some of those guys that are third or fourth year players to mentor some of those younger guys and girls to, this is what coach wants. This is the way you do it. It's a process, and you hope by the end that those newer people, and a lot of times I don't know if we should be trying to motivate them. That should be coming from them, but how to get there. how to get to that place that you want them to be at. Andy, what about you?
You want to talk about Davenport? Or
Davenport, and then
motivation
and the young people, and I guess your expectations of the team and how to get there. But start with Davenport.
Yeah. So the way we do it, we really don't turn the page until so it's a one-day scout for Davenport. We'll dig into them Friday after that or Thursday night after the game. So 1.5 days. But a little bit about them. And when they came into Division II, we talked about that transition for them from NAIA. They came in hot right away.
Right.
They won a regular season title. They won a conference tournament title, and made the national tournament. So they got some accolades. And but this year's team, I don't want to say it's a rebuild, but they're going with a young nucleus. And coach has brought in some really talented young players, but he's going with a lot of freshmen, and they've been a couple of their top scorers, and they're starting to catch a rhythm. I had a big victory against Michigan Tech in double overtime, so they're running with some momentum, and I know they're going to be, they're going to be new. It's going to be a new scout, and I even heard that they're running a few new actions. So same coach, but a lot of new things to dig into, and that's kind of where Davenport's at. And as far as motivating, what you said just about how you run your department, resonated with me, because we're trying to train kids that might work for you. So when they get to you, they understand the dynamic of teamwork and showing up on time and paying your dues, but then getting into a position where you understand your department and the things that go on, the expectations, the culture, and then they spread it down to the new employees. So really this game of basketball for Kurt, for me, I know Kurt thinks the same way because we talk about it, but it's just we're giving them a blueprint of how to work hard, and how to be successful, and how to overachieve, and how to rise up, and maybe take over for you one day, or you want people around you that maybe want your job as far as the staff goes, or players that are gonna change the world.
And expectations. Everybody has a role. Not everybody can be that scorer. Not everybody can be that rebounder. Know your role and do your role to the best of your ability.
And that's not just on the court. 'Cause we got a lot of players
Right.
that don't see the court for quite as many minutes. We try to talk about but you're upholding our values every single minute. With how hard you work, with your accountability, with your gratitude. We got a lot of list of values that we try to really embody, and if you're really embodying all of those things, even if you don't see the court for 1 minute, you're contributing to the program because you're making the program what you want it to be.
Right. Pat?
He fell asleep.
I'm enjoying this. Go ahead.
No, open your eyes.
Well, I know you like a lot of the personal aspect of these two and how they've kind of gotten to be here. And
everybody's got a story, and I really enjoy
That's where I was going.
stories with people, their life story, their journey that they've gone through. And Andy's one of I call the underdog, the champion of the world, because he really, I remember him at Crossroads, had a young family coming up in Big Rapids. He was just one of those guys who was always make you feel good about yourself because he felt good where he was at in life. But you could see he had that aspiration on basketball. You could just see it in you. You just love basketball. He was a great basketball player at McBain Christian, or the public, wasn't it? The public school?
McBain.
You're all the same up there anyway.
No, the Ramblers. The Ramblers. Let's get it right.
Yeah, the green and the gold. Don't forget it.
Oh,
No, hey,
whatever.
look, I'll
You're
send
all
you some
farmers
swag.
up there. And traditionally, you guys.
We play
McBain-
the McBain Ramblers on our sister station, 107.9 CDY. So, Pat, don't do that.
What?
I don't know what it is about McBain. Those guys are always huge.
Yeah, well, they're good people up there, and they have a foundation of what's called family. But anyway, he brings that up here, and then when he got the job, there was talk. A lot of people thought that was great because they loved you, and you've made that relationship with people in Big Rapids, and now you're very successful. What do you tell a young kid that's coaching in the middle school, and he's 25 years old, and his aspiration is to be a college basketball player? And you could help a lot of those guys because you did it. You did it. And the percentage of you is very small because it is normally, that's my buddy, you give him that job. I'm a big donor here at this school, and I want this guy out of Lansing Community coming up to coach Fair State. Here's $100,000 to your program.
That's
you
a lot.
bypassed all that. Well, it could happen though. But and like in this town, I went to my little grandson's practice a couple times. Nate Fricky, you know him? Mm-hmm. Pretty good basketball player.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
This guy took these my little guys in second grade. He's playing on a fourth grade team because they didn't have enough kids that came out. He loves this guy, and he's teaching him in second grade skills that he should be at the high school level coaching. And he's gained their attention, their respect. Little guys, they're watching him. I mean, the eyes are on. This guy is very special, this Nate Fricky. He is a good coach. I hope he gets a chance someday to go to our high school, because I'll tell you what, I think he could lead a championship team with quality players. That might never happen, but it's too bad for us if it doesn't. I think Jake and Kostecki there, you know Jason real well. Mm-hmm. He's a heck of a good coach. He led the Crossroads to a division title, didn't he? I believe back in the day. Now the high school's fortunate enough to have him coming up in the ranks there. I hope he gets a chance. But what is it in your field that separates a guy like you beating the odds and then doing what you've done, and now you're proven, man, I mean, the rest of your life, I mean, you can kind of not relax by any means, because you don't relax. But what is it? How did you get that chance? What do you think it was divine intervention? I mean,
yeah, I really do, and at its simplest level, I do, because I just wanted to be a teacher and a coach, mm-hmm. and I never set out to be a college coach, but was kind of groomed for it, from birth, with my story, with just being part of the family and community I was a part of. But, you asked what would the advice be. Honestly, when I give advice to aspiring coaches, a lot of times I'm talking to them and almost giving them reasons not to do it, because you're testing them, because the way in is not glorious. You're going to have to do something for nothing. You're going to have to volunteer. You're going to have to make a low amount of money. You're going to have a roommate. You're going to have to budget well. You're going to have to move around. I mean, it's just a hard business to get into. So once you get through all those kind of questionnaire things, and you got these good coaches, and I know both the guys you mentioned, but there's hundreds and hundreds of more guys that have had a thought of it, and then they start thinking, well, the conversation then turns to, what is my passion? So if we want to use Nate again for an example, he's using his passion with second graders. There's nothing wrong with that. And I could do that too. I really believe I could. And it's really just about taking your passion and living it out every day. And you can do that at all sorts of different levels. And, that's where I ended up pushing people that have that conversation with me, because there's very few and far between when they hear what it might take or the different paths that they would have to go on. They're like, So if you can get somebody that's, really available with their time and isn't making a lot of money yet, and they might be able to get their foot in the door and work through things. But, that's kind of how I view it and the conversations I have with people.
Well, I love Tom Ludwig. My dad loved Jim Wink. They were very close friends. They played cards every week. Tom and I are very close. We made a relationship. I don't see him anymore like I used to, obviously, because he doesn't live here. And
well, he was here last night, and then he came to see me. So
congratulations, by the way, too, Andy.
Was he here last night?
Yeah, he came to practice yesterday. Yeah,
wow, so great for him.
Do you know that, Pat?
What?
Number 2 in the wins list at Fair State University.
Yeah. And I tell you, of all the coaches we've had, you are a good mixture of all of them. Bill Saul got involved with the community. Tom Ludwig got involved with the community. They lived here and everything. Their families were and this and that. But there's something about you that it's happened so fast, unlike them. I mean, when they were here, we enjoyed every day, blah, blah, blah. We do with you too. But you all of a sudden surprised us with 250 victories. I mean, in the years you've been here, I mean, I got to ask you, and this, is it Tom Ludwig had the most wins? Because I know he won a lot more than he lost. Or is it Jim Wink?
Coach Wink, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, Coach Wink. It's number 1.
But he was here, how many coached did he, 20 years?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
when you talk about career wins, you know, you're talking about longevity. So,
Yeah.
but it's really just carrying the torch, right? If you look at the lineage of the coaches here, and people forget about Edgar Wilson's 4 years. He won the first conference championship, so he added to that too. And there's just decades upon decades of success.
That was right after Ludwig, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
And
he
right
had a
before-
team. That was a pretty good team coming in that year. I remember it well because I used to follow it. Well, I still follow. I follow you, but Tom and I were, like I say, he used to have me at every game. I'd sit there on the bench with them guys and go in the locker room with them, you know. And I tell you, you talk about you being intense. Tom Ludwig was intense. I mean, he'd push me out of the way. But anyway, it was a lot of fun, and you're making a lot of fun too. I know, like from the barber shop to the gas station, you know everybody in town. Everybody really enjoys your success, and they're right behind you on all of it. And when that came out that you were the second winningest coach at Ferris history, what did that mean to you?
Well,
Did you accomplish?
Yeah, I don't. That's
I mean,
a good question. I think
Has
it
it
just
set
came-
in yet?
It came out yesterday, and it was just a coincidence that coach was coming by practice, and we didn't even mention it. We didn't talk about it. That's not the reason he was there. We just enjoyed each other, and he addressed the team, and I was able to tell the team a little bit about the history of the program, and he was able to say a few things to him. But Coach Ludwig and Saul and me, we're all linked together with Coach Killian, and I mentioned Edgar, and Edgar gave us Corey Anderson. Corey played for him, and Corey was a longtime assistant here and a great community member when he lived here. But I guess probably the answer, what does it mean to me, means I've had some staying power. I've been here now 12 years, so all those awards are longevity, and then you don't win games without great people around you. So you surround yourself with great people, and that's coaches and players. And anytime you get to think about X amount of wins or this accomplishment, then you automatically need to reflect on all the people that helped you get there. And there's a ton of people, and it starts with your coaches and players, but it doesn't end there. They say it takes a village. It takes a city like Big Rapids. It takes a lot.
Well, like you were a pup just a few years ago. Were you ever intimidated by your peers? I mean, like you came in and right away you really instilled a winning program. You didn't take necessarily a winning program, but you really built off Bill. I know, but it was somebody after Bill, wasn't there? No, Bill. But I call you a pup because how old were you when you first came in to coach? 30?
Well, head coach 29, I believe.
29.
Yeah.
How many guys do that? And now you're coaching against 45-year-olds. Were you ever intimidated?
No.
No, never. Not from anybody sitting back going, "Wow, he's just a pup out there coaching these guys. He's winning. How the hell's he doing it?" I would go on.
Yeah, no, I mean, just a lot of things you said, they make sense. So one thing you mentioned was just, hey, you seem to be a combination of all of them, and that's what you become. You become a combination of all your experiences in life, right?
Yeah.
And I can go back to high school, and we joked about McBain a little bit, but they have a Hall of Fame coach there, Bruce Coltman,
Right.
and he's got triple the wins I have, and my dad was a coach, football, basketball. I grew up in this. Matt McDonald is a state champion football coach that coached me in high school, and my college coach is a Hall of Famer, and he's getting close to 800 wins. And then coaching under Coach Saul, and then the lineage of Wink and Ludwig and all the coaches that have been here, everybody I've been around. I mean, there is no time to be intimidated. I mean, that's not how I was raised. That's not how I was brought up.
I know, but did it ever set in you that I'm really? I know you don't get a big head over this, but I'm going to tell you. Do you ever really sit there and go, "Holy, how the heck did I get here with these type of people? I mean, these guys are my heroes, and I'm just as good."
I think there's moments to reflect like that are kind of fun here and there, but
Yeah.
I mean, this year feels like the first year. That's how it is for me, and you just keep going and going, and you got the next team to impact, and it can go as fast as it came, right? So you could have a couple injuries, or things can change, support can change, situations can change, and you do all the same things and work your tail off, and you're losing games, but then you go back to the things that Kurt and I have been talking about in the interview today, what the things that are really important to you and the things that motivate you and that you're passionate about. So it's good to reflect with you guys today. It's fun, and but at the same time,
it is. It puts reality.
Yeah, it does.
We're bringing reality into the program. Kurt, just like you, how many girls did you lose from last year's great year?
So I think we lost 4 to graduation. So 4 to graduation. 2 of those were starters that, you know, each scored over 1,500 points. So it was a lot
Huge.
it was a lot of production to be replacing, and kind of. And you don't really replace those players. You just become a new team.
Did you think, though, I mean, you were on national TV down there. Did you really think that was going to happen to you in your lifetime back 10 years ago? Can you see yourself today where you're at right now? I mean, you both guys are sitting on a pedestal right now that people would love to be up there and also would love to knock you off there. And like you said, going into Grand Valley game, you're pretty confident, even though you know they're the best in the league, but you're just the best too. You alluded to that a little bit. So you're not going in there as the underdog to you, in your mind.
Like, just to circle back with Andy said, like, this has been nice to kind of have these kind of big picture. You think about it, but as coaches and competitors, just like Andy said, he's not scared walking into any arena or any situation. It's like we just really try to stay like in that moment. Like, and if you're staying in the moment, you're doing what you're trying to do. Like, yes, you have dreams.
Right, I know.
You have the dreams of like, okay, I want to do this and I want to do all those things, but you can't be focused on the result. You got to be focused on, you know, what it takes to get there, and like really just staying like right in that moment of like, I'm just really focused on not just the 40 minutes we get tomorrow, but it's like the 120 minutes that we have today.
You're what?
Like in practice, and like staying in this moment right now, and then we'll be in that moment right there. And then if you do it right for long enough, like, wow, all of a sudden it's, we are achieving these things. Right. And you do talk about it with teams, you know, at the beginning of the year, because you want them to have that vision of like, okay, what are we trying to accomplish? You know, you want to have that vision, you want to have that mission of like, okay, this is where we can get to. And, you know, a lot of times that's what'll motivate you like day to day out. It's like, yeah, you want to achieve that, but we try not to be focused so much on, okay, if you achieve it, you're a winner, and if you don't achieve it, you're a loser. It's what do you become along the way as we have those aspirations. So did we think that we could do it? Yes, because we have that confidence in ourselves. You know, this year's team has that confidence in themselves. Are we so focused on it that it's like right on the whiteboard in the locker room? That's the only thing we talk about? No. Like, because we know that we need to get better every day, because the basketball season, you know, we basically start when school starts. You know, and we're not done until hopefully the last week of March. So we have to make sure that we're doing things consistently throughout the year to get all the way there. So, yeah, it's great to have those big dreams, and we want to have those big dreams, you know, but we want to really keep living in the moment every day. And that's what's looking forward to tomorrow's game, because it's like, it's just those 40 minutes, you know, maybe more than 40 minutes. We'll see. Maybe I can be prophetic here. We can get a little overtime happening, but we're looking forward to it.
2 more questions for you, Kurt. One is, you're married.
Yep.
How many years?
So I've been married. It'll be 10 years in June.
How's your wife like it?
My wife really enjoys it here.
Was she an athlete?
So she was an athlete. She would say like she was on the teams in junior high, you know, and then she was more into other things, into cheer and dance and show choir and a lot of those things. And she's a high school teacher up at Everett High School right now.
She is. Okay. Yep. Where do you live then? Right around here?
So we live right down the road from Menards.
Don't give us your address.
Yeah, that's okay. We're right down the road from Menards.
Because we don't do that. Well, how many children you have? 2.
So we got 2 little ones. Cameron is 5 and Casey is 3. So if you're at any of the games and you look right behind the bench, the little redhead boy that looks just like me, that's definitely my son.
Oh, really?
So, and the little brunette girl that looks just like mom, sitting there side by side, and usually mom and dad are there. My dad is my high school coach. They live in Berrien Springs, Michigan, and they're up for just about every game. So, yeah, really, really big sports family.
Yeah, that's good. That helps, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. They enjoy being in the gym. My wife, you know, I don't think she's missed a home game ever. You know, in California, she took a couple trips with us here. We try to take our families on usually 1 bus trip. We try to get like Andy to get all his girls, you know, and me to get the whole crew. Last year we did it for Davenport, you know, so they get to ride on the big bus, you know, with us there and back, so they can experience some of the things that we got to experience as kids, you know, riding the big yellow bus. You know, but now these kids get to ride that nice coach bus back and forth. So yeah, you just like you see all the Bronkemas running around, you're going to see the Westendorps all running around too. Ours are just a little smaller than the Bronkema girls.
Yeah, you got some good athletes coming. His youngest daughter played last year with Kay. Kay's in 5th grade this year, and your daughter I think was only 2nd grade last year, right? And she's
a little Spitfire.
Yeah,
she's a little Spitfire.
Great, yeah.
She's
the other two
at our camps.
Two, Andy.
They're all having success, but it's their life and their passion, right? It's not their dad's. So they know how crazy I am about what I do, and I hope they're that crazy about something in their life someday.
Yeah.
So
I got to get to more of your guys' games, but I mean the ones I went to last year, I'd like to sit by myself, because the trouble with going to those events is you get there and then all of a sudden you start talking to your neighbor, and all of a sudden it's the fourth quarter and you missed the game. So I kind of like to sit there and enjoy the game. And not that I don't want anybody sitting next to me. I love my comrades out there, but I really smile when I watch you play. They were playing Northern, and it was the last game. And that was like going to a tournament game, because you already gotten beat by them once, I think, up there, wasn't it? And then they came down here and you beat them in the last seconds or whatever, wasn't it? Or did they beat you? It came right down to the last shot. And
talking about last year?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
sometimes you have a short memory, so I can't.
I know.
I can't remember
what happened.
I remember the atmosphere.
That Northern team, just from my perspective, I thought, wow, what a team. They're going to go a long ways. And the poor souls got beat the first game they played them up there.
Any
in the
given
tournament.
day.
It was over. But anyway, Andy, you don't like to lose. I know that. But sometimes it's kind of to get beat once in a while, just to learn how to win again and what you got to do to win again. But Kurt,
Light a fire.
I
said light a fire.
Yeah, I suppose. But you guys really appreciate it more than you'll ever know in Big Rapids. I think, Andy, you've really committed your life to Big Rapids, the community itself. I've seen that in you, and I think it's great when you go to the local barber and the local gas station, and people will speak to you like they know you one-on-one. Tom Ludwig did that. And
what local gas station are you talking about?
Curries, Amico.
Oh, okay.
But no, but how many times do you come in there and half of them know you, don't they? I mean, a lot of people know you in the community, and that means a lot to Big Rapids, because everybody, let's face it, likes to get behind a winner. And know it or not, you have that presence about you, and people like the conversation. But anyway, I'm jabbering. Kurt, thanks a lot.
You're listening to WBZX Big Rapids.
Oh, yeah. But Kurt, again, I congratulate you on your success. Is there pressure this year on you to get back there, or do you feel pressure on that? I know Andy feels like he's going to get there every year, and he is there every year. But you're kind of a newcomer to that status up there where Andy's been, and
No, not really focused on like it for myself, focused on like this year's team, because like Andy's program has been a solid program. Our program has been a solid program, but every team is different. Every single team only gets one season with each other. So I really feel like we're just kind of diving into like, okay, understanding the roadmap of what it takes to be successful, and then how is this group of girls doing it this year? Because it's not going to be the same as last year's group. It won't be the same as next year's group. It's just really staying in that moment with these kids and like, how can we be the best that we can be? We don't really. I mean, I don't feel pressure when we go in there to try to win a game or not win a game. We're competitive. We want to win every game, but we're not focused on whatever our record is. We know it's going to be good if we do things the right way. We know we're going to get a chance in the NCAA tournament if we can earn our way there. But they don't just give out those spots in the tournament. Based on who
you guys playing Grand Valley here then?
So yep, we're at home tomorrow night. Yep. So
5 and 7.
So 5:30. 5:30 tip off when the guys following us shortly after, right about 7:30. We'll see.
It's gonna be a big game, ain't it, Andy?
We'll see. We'll see if we can
every
get.
Game's big.
I'm pretty confident after seeing last week's crowds that like we'll get another great crowd. We're not in school's not in session still, so that's a little unfortunate. But hopefully some of these students will maybe just come back a few days early, and then definitely Saturday. Hopefully people are starting to get back into town. Traffic will get a little tougher to get through town. But I enjoy having those challenges, to have the hustle and bustle of students. But yeah, big home games, and we're looking forward to it. We're not feeling any pressure. Like, we're trying to go out there and just be the best that we absolutely can be, and we just love to compete.
Well, are you going to try to slow it down?
We got a couple different things in mind, but we don't want to try to play we don't like playing slow basketball.
Okay.
Like,
Because they don't either.
In our program over the past, 5 years now, like, we're trying to get going a little bit. I think this year's team, we're averaging over 80 points a game. We've topped 100, I think, twice and been close another time or two. So it's like we're not really in the slow it down, take the air out of the basketball kind of game.
How about your assistants? Who are they?
So I'm lucky to have Mallory McCartney, who was one of the seniors that was on our team last year. She came and took this role on. LaCara Salter was with me the last couple of years, and she got a Division I opportunity to be a Division I assistant at Nebraska Omaha. Just like Jasmine Walker, who was here, and her parents both played here, Jarvis and Danielle
I knew
Walker.
Jarvis real well. Worked for Tom.
Yep. So
Ludwig.
Jasmine was my first assistant when I came here, and she's now an assistant at George Washington University. So she's doing a lot better than a lot of us.
Nice lady,
climbing those coaching ranks.
Yeah.
And I got Scott Carlson is on staff as a volunteer, and he was the head coach down at Kent City High School for a long time. He's probably got more wins than all of us. At the high school level, just a real passion for the game, real passion for these kids. And, it's nice to have him around as much as he can be here as a volunteer. So I got a great staff of people that are just really invested into our kids. And having Mallory, she has that kind of connection with the players where she was their teammate, but now she's an authority figure. But as a leader, she kind of had all the qualities that you're looking for to hold them accountable to what they have to do. And now she's learning a little bit of the behind the scenes side, because the basketball mind, she's got a great basketball mind. And even more than that, it's like she's got a passion for Ferris. There's not many kids that have a bigger passion for Ferris and what it takes to be successful. So it's great to have that burning desire to win for Ferris than she has.
Well, Andy, role of assistant.
Let me say this about Mal, too. Heck of a pickleball player.
Really?
So
I don't play her in that.
She carried me yesterday.
Really?
And I got to mention this because I know all the listeners want to hear this. Bronx and Mal versus Anise and Colton Haynes, our strength coach.
Oh.
And, it did take us 6 games to win the 7-game series.
Really?
But let's get that out on the air.
Right.
That
Tony, are
victory-
you listening?
Yes, exactly. And if you're not, we'll get a copy of this. So, but no doubt, Mal carried me, man. She's good at everything she does, and
Really?
we love having her. I'm glad that worked out for Kurt.
I know in football you have your defensive coordinator, your backfield coordinator, your quarterback coordinator, you got your line quarterback coaches, all these coaches. In basketball, though, what's the role you tell your assistants to do, Andy? I know in your timeout you have your chalkboard out there and you're talking to these guys. In the back there, you have your assistants around there a little bit. Once in a while, they'll say something to one of the other players. What's happening right then?
Wow, you got the good questions today. So,
And everybody does it a little bit different. Everyone's a little different. And even year to year, it's not always exactly the same with
What do
who's
you tell them?
who's focused a little more on offense, who's focused a little more on defense, who's focused more on the guard position. Some people are focused more on the post position. Some people are doing scouts. Some people are like, hey, just focus on us. There's that division of labor that in basketball, it's not like a football team.
Andy,
we're dealing with less players.
So you guys are watching the game, obviously. You're watching the game. Do you watch the ball, or are you watching other aspects of the game? And do you have coaches watching the defense a little bit more under the boards, what he's doing and what he's not doing? Is that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so Coach Fleming's the full-time assistant, and he's got more defensive responsibilities during the game as far as matchups, how we want to match up. We know the different lineups that they're going to play, and he knows them very well after studying the film. And if they play this lineup and we have these guys in, this is how I'm going to match them up. And then we got a little flow chart with Coach Killian and Coach Lesko if Coach K is not there. Basically, the flow chart is a small example would be, hey, they've scored on us 4 times in a row. Maybe we want to switch the press or go to a zone or change things up. And we track post touches, paint touches. So if we're not getting the ball inside, we don't have that type of flow where we want to get the ball to the basket. Coach Lesko will mention to me, hey, that's 3 possessions in a row without getting the ball inside. So we might call a play to get the ball inside, and then we have other volunteers that are just paying attention to things like defensive balance. Hey, we're not rotating back, or Coach Booth, we'll pull guys aside. One of his jobs is to pull people aside when they come out of the game and give them instant instruction, because I'm not always available to do that. And, we're keeping track of timeouts and we're just, So everybody does have specific things they're doing,
Okay, I
but
didn't
it's
know that.
also broad. So, and then it kind of just funnels down. So I can't have all the voices in my face.
Right.
You know, kind of Coach Killian's got a direct line to me, and then everybody else flows through Coach Fleming. So he's kind of weeding out, you know, hey, that might be a decent idea, but I'm not going to tell Coach because, you know, or hey, yeah, I'll mention that to him, or during a timeout, more voices might come my way. But so that's kind of the flow of it with our staff. But I think Kurt made a great point. Every staffs change, and the dynamic changes, and you have to really build your staff on the ability of your staff members and you know, what they're good at. So as a head coach, you're really trying to fill in the gaps. So, you know, you get a new assistant and his skill set is different. You have to give those skills to him that he's really good at, and you have to take the other ones.
But you wonder, just the guy standing back watching the game, I'm thinking, why do we need all those guys out there for coaches? But see, now you answered our question.
Well, and the other thing with Ferris and Division II small college basketball, I mean, we have one full-time assistant. So we're talking about Josh and Mal. They're our full-time benefits. You know, they're every day, and you know, all the other people on our benches are volunteer coaches, and they might get, you know, a little Under Armour gear, or, you know, obviously all expenses paid on the trips, and maybe some summer camp money if they're working the summer camps. But and all those people that show up for the home game, they might not be at the road games. They might not be able to be at every practice. Each one of them has a role and expectation that we're okay with, and they provide value to the team. But when you see 5 people on the bench, you know, you might not be at the game where there's 2 people at the bench, you know, and you know, because that's all the people that could travel. And so you take the help that you can get, and the people that are willing to, you know, take those roles and invest in people. But a lot of people, being a volunteer is not glorious either, you know, and it takes a real passionate person and person that sees the value in being involved with an organization like ours. And we've got a few of them, and we're glad for that. You build a staff however you can.
Who makes the decision to pulling a guy out? I mean, I know you're watching overall the whole game. Do you have an assistant saying, hey, coach, you better pull him out? He's not getting it done for you right now, or whatever. Do you have a guy just that does that? Or do you do it?
No, Coach Killian helps me mainly with substitutions, but Coach Fleming can do that too. And, you know, most of the time I'm doing it, but if I'm a little distracted or I'm not seeing things clearly, you know, they'll mention something to me. Maybe it's foul trouble, or hey, it's time to get so-and-so back in. You know, you forgot about them, and get the rotations going. Our rotations at the beginning of the game are a little bit programmed. So we kind of know our first couple of rotations, and then from there it's feel. So we're shuffling guys in and out a lot, right?
Yeah,
So I think that's what you're referencing.
Right.
You might be arguing with an official when someone got 4 fouls, and Josh is trying to get your attention to sub a guy out, and Josh will be like, "God, just go. You're in the official's ear during that time." I think I've seen that a couple times.
Who? Yep, that's exactly it. You know, so they know their role, and they can shuffle them in there, and I'm not going to say anything because they know they're doing the right thing. So what do you want to talk about, Brian? Huh?
Yeah.
Well, I guess Jen looks like she's. I guess what I'm taking from everything is we got 2 competent coaches here, 2 confident coaches in their ability and their teams without being cocky, passionate about the programs they have, what they're doing, and always very cognizant of the history that we have to how we got here and why we're here today.
Yeah, I think that you're right there. And then the other thing I want to touch on is Perk Weisenberger. You know, he's the one that kind of built this whole thing up a few years back when he was AD. And, you know, my hat's off to him because I've gone to a few football games this year, and he's there every one of them. And he comes to your basketball games, you know, and he doesn't have to do that. A lot of ADs, they retire and go fishing, you know, or go south for the winter. I know he does that too. But gosh, that guy, he's got a lot of pride in him. He's really proud of you guys, what he's done here at Ferris State. And I know Steve came in and done a great job too, but you guys have been here, and makes him look good, obviously, and he's riding a nice boat right now. But yeah, from the community standpoint, we are very fortunate. I would hope Big Rapids gets out and supports you guys Thursday night, 5:30, right? Mm-hmm. Yep, 5:30 Thursday night. I'll put it on the marquee at the station there and get that out, because I'm telling you, folks, you folks that haven't been out there, you don't have to go to University of Michigan to watch the Wolverines play basketball
No.
if you want to see basketball at the top level here. We don't have a bunch of guys out there just trying to win. They are winning. Both you guys know how to win, and your student athletes are great kids. Now, with that being said, one more question. You set them up to be good adults and to carry on themselves and being professional in life. Do you have any great stories or one great story about a girl that's left your program and made a difference? No?
Trying to narrow down.
I know they all
trying
have.
to narrow down
And that's not
just
fair.
the one, and
That's not
everyone
fair.
with, because the one that's it's not a Ferris girl. I had a great kid that was with my program in California that she was a member of the Army National Guard and is now part of like Cal Fire, jumping out of helicopters to fight fires.
go.
Like that's the story that you want to get. So we have a lot of the girls that came right out of the program when I got here actually had nursing degrees.
Yeah.
Adrian Anderson, Zoe Anderson, Riley Blair. I didn't have a chance to coach her, but like Riley is doing absolutely amazing things in Grand Rapids, having a young family and doing that, and being able to like just be rising in that nursing field. We put a lot of nurses out there, and those are probably the people that get the most attention, like getting into those medical fields. But there's just so many different stories. It's hard to kind of jump on one that would really be a page turner for you.
Yeah, I know. Being here my whole life, I can just touch on two guys that I remember played basketball here, David Tucker and Jarvis Walker. Those two guys, Ludwig had them both, and man, they were excellent basketball players, but more importantly, they were good people. And it's funny that I can remember their names, and that's been how many years ago? 40? Probably been 40 years ago that they were here, maybe longer than that even. But those guys made an impact in Big Rapids, and they still have in my life because they're both very successful. And they had other guys on the team, but I remember those two names. And you're doing the same thing, Andy, with your players with Lisa LaCourse there. I recognized, or I saw on Facebook where they had your whole team over and at their house. I mean, Scott and Lisa are big backers to you. And what do they mean to you?
Well, they're just one of the families that back us. But Scott's on the rebounders board, and Lisa's taking care of the team now. It's a tradition that's gone back. We saw some pictures from years back where our kids were so young, but their support goes beyond giving, and that was a fun game night down in the man cave, and they build genuine relationships with the players. The players will go over there and hang out just to be in a safe place with people that don't have to talk about winning all the time, but they care about them, and those type of relationship people are important in this community. But you talk about Tucker, you talk about Jarvis, both those guys I've gotten to have a relationship with. One thing that sticks out for me is that they're good fathers. You see how they are, and their wives too. But their family, the nucleus of their family, they've invested in their children, and their children have went on to be big time successes. And Kurt mentioned Jazz, but there's Jarvis Jr. and David's daughter was, I think, maybe number one pick in the WNBA draft.
Morgan.
So rich history there, and over the years they've both been back, but pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, it is. Well, we've taken up a long time today. It's been a lot of fun
awesome.
for you guys to be here.
Thank you both.
It's been greater fun
Thanks
for
for having
Brian
us
and
out
I.
here.
More importantly, I think, good luck to both of you guys tomorrow in the remainder of the season. And thank you for being who you are to the sports program there and to all of us here in Mecosta County.
We'll have him back. We'll have him back.
Yeah.
God bless America. There we go.
Big Rapids new B1039.
Hey, this is Andrew from Big Rapids Tire. Putting off winter, good idea for some, but in reality, pretty much impossible. And if you wait too long to